Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome back to, let's just call it a city in Hungary. We're going to pick up a job and take it to another city. You know me and those Eastern European names. Right, let's hop in here and get rolling. We don't have too far to go, and there is, I have to say, a ton of news. A ton of news as far as gaming, at least for our sim gaming world. So let's get out of here carefully. We're still running our Krona box liner trailer, but we are leaving the service center here, the diesel shop. And I did swap it over from a single 40-foot container to two 20-foot containers. Whoa. Alright, there we go. That's better. Two 20-foot containers. And I made a couple changes to the truck. I added some bibendums up on the top, I guess the top front bar. Yeah, I have a mod pack, a tuning mod pack for this DAF truck, and it adds a lot of light bars. And there's I don't know, probably 12 or 15 different configurations, because there are two places to have a light bar on the front. You can have one in either, both, or neither. And then there's a back bar, and there's several styles of those. So when you combine them all, there's a lot of combos. And I wanted concentrating. There, okay. I just wanted another bar with 4 lights on it, but then I wanted the little marker lights under, and I wanted the 2 slots on the end for bibendum. And finding the right one took a minute, but we did get it in there. And I think, yeah, that's about it. Our motor is maxed out. There's only 4 motors available when you're running the drivetrain revision mod. So we've got the biggest motor. I want to say it's, I always have to look at the door to do this. 510 horsepower. So we've got that, and we've got the transmission we want. We've got the layout that we want as far as the 6x4. And I think the truck is just about done. And with not running mods, with not planning to run mods for 1.36, other than a few sort of cosmetic mods, it's interesting that we do have the truck sort of maxed out. We're at level 18, I think, 19. And I don't want to say we don't have anywhere to go, but it is different running without mods. I think mods definitely give you some goals. They give you some things to continue aiming toward. So we'll certainly get to drive, and maybe that's going to be our only goal for this 1.36 patch, which I believe, yeah, it is done now. It's in full release, and the reason is the release date for Road to the Black Sea has been announced. It is December 5th. So next episode, we will be heading into Turkey, because today is the 1st. Yeah, today's December 1st. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So the 5th will be Thursday. And what I might do is swap ETS for ATS. And on Friday, when I normally record an ATS video, I'll record an ETS video for you heading into Turkey. So super excited about that. And then December 13th, I want to say, there is a new DLC for Train Sim World, another UK route, but it's Brighton, and it's looking like some significantly different locos and rolling stock. So I like that. I mean, I would love to see Train Sim World get to some other parts of the world, but I saw somebody on Discord say, as many people as there may be asking for China, Japan, Brazil, Spain, etc., if they know most of their sales come from the UK, the US, and Germany, then as a business, they're sort of like, the smart play is just to keep doing DLC from those areas, and that seems to be what they're doing. So it is a little, I'd love to see some more variety, but whatever, we'll figure it out. So that will be on the 13th, and then Chernobyl for spin tires will be sometime in December. I'm guessing because people in Europe tend to take kind of a holiday break. Man, I envy Europeans and their holidays. But because there tends to be sort of a break, I think, from, say, mid-December to the first week of January. It's not that offices are closed down, but sort of skeleton crew. People are going to see family. You know how the holidays are. Same thing happens in the U.S., just not for quite as long. But because of that, I expect any Spin Tires DLC is going to be available toward the first part of December rather than the later part, because the later part there won't necessarily be people in offices. I think that made sense. Right, so we'll get spun around, we'll get backed in and pick this up, and then we've just got a little short trip down the highway here and get this dropped off, and we'll be all teed up for Road to the Black Sea. I'm excited. I really am. Been looking forward to it. And I'm really impressed, maybe? Is that the right word? I don't know. But I really appreciate that SCS seems to have taken their time, either with the DLC itself or with the 1.36 patch. Let's go third person. And I guess what I mean by that is, I don't know, because 1.36 just went official, and the announcement for Road to the Black Sea happened at just about the same time. It makes me wonder, was one waiting on the other, right? Were they waiting for making changes to 1.36 as they finalized Road to the Black Sea? Or was Road to the Black Sea done and they just needed to tweak a few things in 1.36? But either way, the fact that they seem to have really taken their time with it, I appreciate. I find it encouraging. I wish more developers would do that. You know my thing about these half-done games. Right, so back to neutral. Set the brake. Engine is off. I see our little bibendums up front. Let's load up here. And yeah, still morning. We just slept, and it's only a couple 100K. So we're good to go. Oh, that's interesting. We're taking fuel, and we've got fuel canisters rather than just typical intermodals. And I don't know if you've seen this as well. It's hard to... The camera on this game has always been a little bit but the ADR placards on this tank and the codes and everything, those are, as far as I know, those are accurate, and they do swap now. So if you put, like, we have all owned trailers, that's what we're driving sort of exclusively now on both sims, ATS and ETS. But if we were to haul dynamite in our side loader now, it would put accurate dynamite placards on. Well, they'd be explosive placards, but you know what I mean. That's a nice detail. That's a nice touch. I like stuff like that. So get out of here and get on the road. Yeah, man. And what else is going on? Well, a couple funny things not in sim gaming, but still very, to me, very funny. So, when I take my little break from sim gaming, which I do periodically, one of the games that I play is The Division, which now is The Division 2. I'm in the sequel. And I've been, I'm fascinated when I play games like that, because this is going to sound weird. We play sim games, right? We do the same thing over and over. I could drive a truck around Europe from now till the heat death of the universe. I love it. And I know some people look at that and say, man, don't you get bored? Isn't that a little bit, kind of redundant? Yeah, a little bit. But I think the trick to anything, any form of entertainment, is it does need to be fresh in a way. It's got to have some novelty to it, but it also very often has to have, it's got to stick with a theme, right? Like if you go see a James Bond movie and it's a musical, well, that's certainly novel. There are certain things that you expect when you go to see a James Bond movie, and the producers have to deliver them, right? You're going to go to a lot of different cities. There's going to be gadgets. There's going to be a Bond girl, all that stuff. He's going to wear a tuxedo. All those things need to happen. Now, how they happen can be different and new and novel, right? Creative, innovative. But those things themselves need to happen. So when we talk about gaming being boring because it's always the same, yeah, it sort of does need to be the same. I mean, if I jumped in this game and fired up a new DLC and there were zombies, no, man, that's too different. I needed to be different, but I needed to stay within the framework. And I think most gamers feel the same way. So for us as sim gamers, yeah, I think to people looking in from the outside, this is incredibly boring and just repetitive. But for us, it's... Ooh, careful. But for us, it's not just the familiarity of it, not just being able to do something that we've done before and try to do it better, try to do it faster. But also the, it is, I don't want to say it's like a coming home kind of thing. But when you hop in Truck Sim, you know exactly what you're going to get. When you hop in Farm Sim, you know exactly what you're going to get. And that is, I think, part of what we're after with these very chill games. Now, when I play something like D2, Division 2, it's an RPG game, and so there is a grinding aspect to it. There's a loot aspect to it. And I don't know why exactly it's so different to do the same thing in an RPG game versus doing the same thing in a sim game. Right? Like, I've done 100% length F1 races, which is an hour and a half of just trying not to screw up. And I realized at some point that's all racing is. It's just trying not to screw up and being patient while you wait for the people around you to screw up so you can take advantage of it. That's all it is. It's just trying not to screw up. It's doing the same thing and trying to not screw up. And no problem. That's not grinding to me. That's not boring. And yet to do that same kind of grind in an RPG game, I feel it, I definitely do. And yet at the same time, try to sort of step out of myself and observe it from another perspective, even though it's me doing it, right? And think, well, why am I doing this? And why is it boring? And why am I continuing to do it? And I think it's because you get these moments periodically. And I think this is true of a lot of kinds of gaming. Yeah, it may be, you know what I mean?
Keep left and then continue straight on.
Can we get back over here? Yeah, this is... no, it's not. That seems like a closed road, does it not? There's no... Like, normally when the police have somebody pulled over, that the person that they have pulled over is, like, right in front of them. All right. I may need to dial back my detour probability. It seems pretty stout. Yeah, that's all closed. Okay. So now we're going to the map. Moment.
Okay, let's find a new route.
Okay, so we're just going to make a loop of the city. No, that won't work. Because it's going to bring us back around exactly where we just came from. So that means we need to... We need to go this way. 247K, 331K. Not terrible. Not terrible. It adds about 5 minutes, 8 minutes. Okay, we're good. So I may or may not be explaining that right. I think maybe a little bit of both. But either way, it is those amazing moments that I guess sort of make it all worthwhile. And for all I know, it's that way in real life for people that drive race cars professionally. Or people that drive trucks. It's that, well, I guess racing because you have the adrenaline factor, because you have that constant, maybe not fear, but, you're driving a race car at 180 miles an hour. That's nothing to be taken lightly. Even if you're not going to be hurt in a bad accident, it's still not something you want to happen. It's a very expensive car. There's been a lot of time and effort put into setting it up, and you kind of need it for the weekend. So there's really, obviously you don't want to crash out in a race because your day is over, but even in practice or qualifying, you don't want to crash out because now you got to go to a backup car. So there's that aspect. For a truck driver, for a farmer, I don't know. What moment are you looking for? Is it something as simple as, a sunrise or a sunset or, something, some kind of moment that even though you've been doing the same thing for hours, some kind of moment occurs and it's like, all right, this day is worth it now because of that one moment. So I guess for me in in something kind of grindy like an RPG game, there are moments, particularly in
and then
multiplayer,
continue straight on.
there are moments where it's like, this is, this is really cool what just
Go
happened.
straight on.
So that's been something I've been kind of thinking about and observing, and a couple of funny things happened that I wouldn't say they made the session worth it, but certainly some standout moments. So one thing that happened, this is funny. It really is. It better be, because I've said now several times this is funny. So I'm in a clan to do the raid, and the raid, if you're not familiar, the raid in Division 2 is, as all raids are, kind of the culmination of all gameplay up to that point. It's you need players who really know what they're doing. You need good communication, like real-time voice communication. Everybody needs to be very much tuned into that. Everybody's build has to be sort of specifically designed for either the raid itself or even more specifically for a role within the raid. And it's extremely intense, and it's very, very difficult. I've got about a 75% success rate. And by the time you get to end game, you're just rolling through every aspect of the game when you replay story missions or when you do other things. Your character is so overbuilt and overpowered that you just roll through everything, but the raid
And then continue
challenges
straight
people
on.
even after they have an end game build. So it's very difficult,
Straight on.
and it takes some concentration and some focus, and you got to keep your wits about you. And I play with a clan typically in an 8-player raid. There are 6 people or 5 people from the clan, and then we just grab a couple pickups. And that's also kind of a service that you do to the community, because the first time you do the raid, you really do need to be carried. You just have no idea what's happening, and it's very, very fast, very intense, and you need to be carried through it. There's really no way to know the first time you go through the raid what to even expect. So you do carry people from the community through, and now they've at least begun to become familiar with it, and they're on the road, right? Or they join your clan and they do it with you more often, or whatever. So there was a guy that we had picked up, and he sounded like an older fella, right? Like 60s, maybe 70s, very German. And he's a nice enough guy, and he, mostly kept his wits about him. We were doing all right, and we're in the final room, this giant thing that you have to fight, this giant like robot missile launcher, and all these crazy things are happening, and then within every room there are also phases, and we're about 75% of the way done with this last room to complete the raid. And out of nowhere, my man says, "Oh, hang on, it's the phone." And people thought he was kidding. I thought he was kidding. Like, wait, what? The phone? And he wasn't kidding. He went AFK and took a phone call. And you can hear him talking in the background. And it's still, I'm searching for words here. People were still like, is he trolling? Is this sabotage? Like, what the hell is going on? This can't be for real. But now my man is like setting up an appointment on the phone in the background, and we're all running around trying to kill ads. And then he comes back and he's like, "Right, okay, I'm done. Where were we?" And I've never, in all the time that I've been gaming, either before when I was a kid or since I came back to it a couple of years ago, I have never experienced anything like that before. And he was absolutely serious. He had to take a call, and he did. And I don't think anybody is ever, at least anybody in the group that I was in, is ever going to invite him for the raid again. But man, there are so many kinds of people in the world, and the way that we connect now with social media, with gaming, with just the instant nature of it. That couple of clicks, and now you're engaged in a task with somebody you don't know, you've never met, on the other side of the world, and you're all just kind of working together. And like in any environment where you work together, that sort of thing, I guess, from time to time happens, where somebody is just really not tuned in to what it is that you're trying to do as a group. But it was cool. Nobody got mad. Nobody yelled or anything. Everybody just kind of took it in stride, like, "Oh, all right, this is really happening? All right." And yeah, nobody bounced out of the group. Nobody said, let's kick him. We just ran around for 3 or 4 minutes till he was done and then got back to it. So that could be one of the funniest things that I've ever experienced in gaming. But it was, and it was also in its own way sort of uplifting because, like I said, the group kept it together. You know, nobody got all pissy and made it a tense moment. We just rolled with it. So that's one thing that happened. But something else that got me thinking was because you do. So Division 2 is a tactical shooter. Well, it looks like a tactical shooter. It's really not. It's an RPG game. But you have guns and everything. You have guns instead of swords, and you have skills and technology instead of magic. But it's Dungeons and Dragons. For all intents and purposes, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And in D&D, in World of Warcraft, games like that, you fight a monster, right? Well, the monster that we were fighting, like I said, it's a missile launcher. It's a truck, basically. We're fighting a truck monster. But this guy gonna let me over? He is. He is not. He is. Okay. And you know, I'm watching Death Stranding, which has to be one of the most innovative games I've ever seen. I don't understand it. I have no idea what's happening. There's a baby. There's ghosts. There's a sister, but she's a hologram. There's a mailman. I really don't know what's going on, but it's gorgeous to look at, and it's extremely imaginative, very creative. And I'm watching Jedi Fallen Order. I just saw Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty, when I get to my point here, Call of Duty, I think, may be in kind of a gray area in the middle. But check this out. This is what I realized about fantasy games and adventure games and RPG games, science fiction games, Star Wars games. Like, the sky's the limit, man. You can do anything you want in those worlds. So when people talk about the evolution of those types of games, or something like Jedi Fallen Order, where you're going to different planets, and each of these planets is different. There's different bad guys to fight and different bosses and all this, right? All this variety. And then I thought about us in sim gaming world. And what's our evolution? We don't get one. Because our games are based on the real world, all our games can ever do is become more realistic. But we're never, right? I think a couple developers, now that I mention it, a couple developers actually tried to have like some kind of Mars work simulator, right? Like farming on Mars or building things on Mars. Didn't really take off. Wasn't super popular. But to be fair, even that is based in reality. I mean, we do have little remote control cars running around Mars right now. So I guess that's what just happened. I heard a beep. Did we get a ticket? What was that? Oh, it might have taken out my loan payment. Okay. So yeah, you see what I'm getting at. In some ways, we have nothing to look forward to as sim gamers other than more reality. And that reality, realism, immersion, that is important to us, to be fair. That's something we're really, really interested in as sim gamers. But I mean, that's an interesting box to be put in as a developer where, you know, what if we did have zombies? What if we did have... No, there's no zombies. There's no, you know, what if we had a hovercraft truck? No, that's not a thing. That's not a thing in real life, and so it's not going to make sense to put it in this game. And so all we'll get as sim gamers is better and better graphics, better and better physics. I mean, and there's cosmetic stuff like, well, in Truck Sim we could have more brands of trucks, or we could have more cities to go to. But that doesn't change the fundamental nature of the game. That's not particularly innovative. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't really expand the game as a concept. It just sort of expands the size of the room that we're playing in when we're in that game. And I don't mind. I mean, I would love to see ETS. I would love to see the franchise combine and just become Global Truck Simulator. when they bring in, I've heard Brazil and India are, that a lot of people from Brazil and India play this game. I know a lot of people from Turkey play the game, and that's, I guess, no surprise that the new DLC is going into Turkey. I'm wondering when we're going to go into Russia, because so many people from Russia play the game. So, as far as expanding the map, yeah, I'm all in favor of that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, or bringing in new brands of trucks, or improving the physics, or going to a new game engine. No, I don't have any problem with those things, and I really look forward to them happening. I guess I'm just making the observation that there's really nothing you can do with these games. The same with Flight Simulator. Now, Farm Simulator, well, again, you could bring in a lot more of the technological aspect of it. Something like you could go into your farmhouse, sit down at a desk, and use technology and software to lay out exactly what you want to do with your fields, and that's going to give you, as far as how much seed to buy, how much fertilizer to buy. It's going to lay out all the courses for you, right, via GPS, as far as where you'll drive when you're in that field doing this or that. So things like that, for Farm Sim, I would love to see them bring that kind of tech to the game. But again, that's still something that exists in the real world, and so it's not. It's nothing other than bringing into the game something that already exists. Whereas in a fantasy game, whatever you can imagine can exist in that world. So it's both a limitation and something that to me makes it very exciting and very interesting to see what developers do when they are limited, when there is a framework that they must remain within. I think that's very cool. And I guess it's, I'm trying to think of examples of a challenge where you're given very strict limitations. Well, I guess any survival show, the cooking shows, right? Iron Chef. What can you make with a squid and a pineapple? And even though all the chefs are given the same ingredients, they come up with something very different and very unique. So seeing people given a framework and all they can do is sort of move around within it, that is in its own way very satisfying for me to see what people come up with. So, oh no, we're okay. Thought we had another delay. I don't think we can stand another delay. We just got a warning that our customer expects delivery very soon. All right, get there as quick as I can. So yeah, I think maybe I had a point earlier on, and then it sort of got lost in the sauce, as it does. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. There's such a big canvas to work with when you're making a video game, unless you're making a sim game, and then the canvas gets a lot smaller. But you can still put a lot of paint on it, I guess, if we're going to continue that metaphor to the end. We may go, because we're coming up on 29 minutes now. I think we may go a little bit over today. But it'll be worth it because we're going to be right down by the border. So we'll just hop into, hopefully we've got a cargo going out from this city into Turkey next week. I imagine we will. Can't see that. You know what I mean? Can't see that it would be that unexpected. Because we do still have, we're level 18, but we do still have our trips set fairly short. Yeah, so it ought to be within that range. And I'm starting to see the circle down there, and I thought the marker that we set was like midway to that city. But if we set it a lot closer, then we're just about there already. So maybe we won't. Yeah, we're there. Okay, cool. So we won't be too far over 30 minutes. Good. I know early days I was going like 45 minutes to an hour for truck videos, and that's just too long. I get that now. I can figure things out. I watch a lot of gaming on YouTube, and I definitely pick up on some patterns as far as, what works and what doesn't work for viewers, and what works and what doesn't work for me as a viewer. I don't always, as much as I might enjoy watching a 60-minute video. I don't always have time for one. So let's get over here. Lift axle is up, turn signal is on. Beautiful. Very carefully around the ramp. All right. Yeah, this worked out. Okay, cool. And now hopefully we're not late. I suspect we're going to be because, you know, you get that warning and you think, okay, well, they wouldn't give me the warning when it's not possible for me to get the job there on time, but I think sometimes they do. Not out of malice, but that's just the way the code works. Right, so, yeah, we're there. Okay, perfect. We're not going into town. I think that's what's kind of saving us here. I think if we had to go into town, we'd probably be another 4 or 5 minutes, but we're okay. I'm just gonna go. All right. In fairness, that was too close. I didn't really have clearance, but that driver just chose not to stop. So you have that. Now, hopefully our cargo didn't get damaged, and I've got enough money I can get the trailer fixed. I'll head into town here and get the repair done. The AI on this game is constantly improving, and it is much better than it used to be, but it's still situations like that just happens. We'll split the difference. I could have waited, but they could have as well. Right, so we'll get flipped around here.
You have arrived at your
And
destination.
yeah,
Your route guidance
it's all
is
worked
now
out.
finished.
What do we got over here? Horses, beautiful. Game looks really good with everything maxed out. I can't believe that all it took was going to DX11 to allow that. And we're still, yeah, right now we're at about 50 FPS. Very cool, very cool. All right, so we'll go right up here. Go third person. Go to reverse. Pivot around like that. Concentrating. There we go. Neutral. Set the brake. Engine is off. Lights are off. All right. Let's see how we did. We are on time. Fantastic. And we took no damage. Great. $6,000. That's not bad. And we got some good points. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. We'll see you next time. Take care now.